What's going on, guys? Tyson the Trainer here, back with another episode of Sports Talk, and today I'm going to talk about something that's pretty shit. I have decided to stop my triathlon, right? Now, it's pretty shit because, I just have had a really bad run lately with my training. Not so much like the training side of things, but just not being able to kind of do the training that I want to do. So firstly, my shins have been giving me issues for months now, 6-7 months, 6-ish months, I think, since the start of lockdown in Sydney, which was June. You know, we're now in December. 6 months? Yeah, 6 months-ish, right? 5-6 months. And like my shins just aren't getting any better. You know, I'm seeing a physio, I'm seeing fucking sports physios, we're trying to get this thing under control. It just doesn't seem to want to be working at the end of the day. So that's kind of got me annoyed. And again, I was like, you know what? I'll focus on the cycling, I'll focus on the swimming, okay? Then with the cycling, I got a brand new bike, right? The day I got my bike, the second day I went to go and get cleats for my bike, I was riding down the street and they didn't put my brakes on properly and I couldn't stop in time and I ran into the back of a car, all right? I was like, it is what it is, it happens, you know. I was obviously pissed off about it. I went down to the shop and went off, told them to give me a refund on the bike and bought another bike from another bike company because I didn't trust them anymore. And I was like, whatever it is. Got the new bike, right? Was riding on the way to get my cleats again because I didn't get my cleats the first time. I just wanted to get normal pedals. Riding on the way, and I got a puncture on my tire. I was like, this is annoying. So I fixed the puncture on my tire. 2 weeks later, I'm riding. I got another puncture on my tire, and as I was riding, the nail that went through my tire not only just went through my my tube, which usually, you know, if you pop a tube, you go and get another tube. It went through the tire enough that it created a big enough hole in the tire that I now have to get a new tire replacement. Okay. Not only did it go through the tire and the tube, it put a hole in my brand new rim. Okay, I actually couldn't believe the nail that went through my tire and my tube and my rim. It was like a thick nail. It's like a nail that would go in a car tire. Like it was like probably like this long. If you guys are listening, obviously you're not gonna be able to see it, but it was not like a small nail that you hit with a hammer, right? It was a big bloody nail, and I couldn't believe that not only did it put a hole in my tire and my tube, that it put a hole in my rim of my bike. Like, I've never ever thought that you could put a hole in your rim with a fucking nail, but it happened, right? And this is not a cheap bike, you know, this is a $1,500 bike. And so at this point I was like, now I have to go and get a new rim for my bike, right? And it's just not a good time. And so unfortunately, I'm gonna stop the triathlon at the moment. So I thought I'd just, you know, for you guys that do listen to this and stuff, and you know, about kind of the reason I do, not the reason I do sports talk, but so it kind of makes me more relatable, which is just quite annoying. So what I'm doing instead is I am going to be focusing more on my boxing, right? And still be training triathletes and helping them and learning about more triathlon and fueling your triathlon and stuff like that. And also swimming, because I love cardio at the end of the day. I do enjoy it. I love the swimming component because it's very, very, it's a very technique oriented sport, and it really makes me think, and it, you know, helps with my head noise. There's a lot of benefits coming from the swimming. So I really enjoy that, especially for my back development too, which has been beneficial. But also boxing, you know, I've got, I'm just really, really enjoying that. So dedicating more time to that, doing boxing consistently and working on, fueling myself for boxing overall and making sure that, I am eating enough, training hard enough, recovering enough, getting the right supplements, all those type of things. And that's also the cool thing that I like about sports nutrition. It's kind of like I said in another episode, is like, we still have principles at the end of the day, and principles can't be beaten. Like, there are still just fundamental things we have to be able to apply for any type of sport. You know, the correct energy availability, enough protein, enough carbohydrates, the right supplementation, the right recovery methods, making sure you're getting in your vitamins and your minerals, all those important things. And so this is why it's kind of cool, because, you know, I'll be able to explain to you guys about what I'm doing differently. So my calorie intake will go down a little bit because I'm not doing as many cardiovascular activities, which would be the first thing. I'll be supplementing differently. So I'll be using more beta-alanine as a supplement because, I'll be doing boxing. I'll be able to watch my heart rate more, so which means my intensity won't always be in lower intensity zones, but watching how good my heart rate recovery is and doing exercise. I will still do stationary cycling, doing swimming, keeping my my other cardio days in lower, high intensity stuff, and then having my boxing as my, I guess, higher and medium intensity type of training. Because again, low intensity is still great for mitochondrial density and all those type of things, which is what we want to include. But a lot of boxers, you know, when you are boxing, when you're hitting the bag, when you're doing pad work, when you're doing sparring, your heart rate just will go up. You know, and so you've got to watch how quickly can I bring the heart rate back down. But again, I can't be doing swimming, boxing, high intensity cardio sessions all the time because it's not going to help me recover and perform better. So this is also cool that I get to apply this for myself and watch how my recovery goes, watch how my cardiovascular exercise is, watch all these things that are really important at the end of the day for me as an athlete, but also for you guys to learn too, you know, knowing why we want to watch our heart rate recovery, knowing why we want to use supplementation like beta-alanine as a boxer, or again, if you are into any type of endurance sport, why beta-alanine is important, you know, why we need to make sure that we're having times of higher intensity and lower intensity training. Like all these things are still going to be able to carry over even though I'm doing boxing, because it's, like I said, sports nutrition has a lot of fundamental principles that are carried across all different types of sports, which is very, very cool. But yeah, like, you know, this is just quite a little bit of an update. That's a disappointing thing at the end of the day. And it's like, I'll never not do a triathlon because I've purchased a bike, I've purchased a swimsuit, I've got the goggles. I enjoy that type of push, but just this time in my life, like, I'm not a spiritual person. I don't believe in religion, right? For the most part, I'm an agnostic, okay? But it was just something about the world telling me that this is not the right time for me to do a triathlon. And I was like, I can't keep pushing against it, you know? Sometimes I believe there are just certain signs out there, and this is definitely one of those signs. Like, I'm just like, all right, I'm not gonna risk this at the end of the day. Like, it's just really not worth it. And again, I can be like, oh, I've gotta go buy a new bike for it, I'm gonna do this. But then that puts me out 2 weeks, you know? I'm not at home at the moment, I'm in Melbourne. And then so when I get back from Melbourne, then I've gotta be able to go and get the bike frame sorted, the new bike rim sorted. And they're not actually doing servicing on a lot of bike shops until the start of the next year. So again, this is just like really prolonging things. So I'm just like, is it in my best interest at the moment? No, unfortunately. And this is what actually happens in life too. Like, we do get setbacks. And one thing we have to learn is that we can't have our identity in one area, okay? Because if you identify just as a boxer, just as a triathlete, just as a marathon runner, just as a bodybuilder, whatever that is, if you lose that one thing, you will lose your identity in a way, and you can face really bad times. You know, people can get really fucking stuck in a lot of things. They can struggle, you know, that it's everything they do, it's who they are. And at the end of the day, when you lose that, if you have all of your eggs technically in one basket, and again, if you're an amazing professional athlete and you are just a boxer, I get that, but it's actually hard if that gets taken away from you. And you know, for me, I don't feel like I've lost anything. I'm transitioning, I'm changing direction at the end of the day. And that's one thing you've kind of got to consider for yourself. You change direction when things happen. You know, when life throws a ball, you change. A curveball. When life, I don't know what else it is. You know, when something happens, you make an adjustment and you keep rolling with the punches, okay? Because if you've got everything set on this one thing and that gets taken away from you, a lot of people struggle with that, you know? A lot of people fall into depression. A lot of people fall into just, you know, being down on themselves. They don't do any exercise. They lose themselves in a way. And it's very, very frustrating for them because they had all this and they feel like something's been taken away from them. And again, in a way, I do feel like something's been taken away from me, but it's not a forever thing. You know, don't feel like I've lost everything. I don't feel like I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with my life now, you know? Like, if I broke a leg, I can still do upper body exercises, right? I can still swim, and that would be very, very challenging to be able to swim. Well, you know, have a cast on, so maybe not swimming. But like, you know, there's always a workaround no matter what happens with whatever injury you get, whatever setbacks you get. You can adapt, you know, and being adaptable is one of the most important things you can do, because the more you can adapt, or the more adaptable you are at the end of the day, you just roll with it and you will find life a lot easier for you when things come up, you know? For me, being able to be like, all right, well, fuck, it is what it is. I can't do a triathlon at the moment. What else can I do? I can do boxing. All right, well then what if boxing happened? Okay, maybe, like, you know, if somehow boxing got ruined, if I broke my hand, all right, what can I do? Well, I'm gonna do the stationary bike, or I am gonna go back and cycle again, because at least I can cycle type of thing. Or I'm gonna do single arm limb stuff when I come to weight training, and I can still train my legs and stuff like that. So there's always a workaround based on what happens, right? I don't think I was actually going to go into this, but there you go. There's always a workaround. And again, not tying yourself into one specific thing, because at the end of the day, you have so many different things you can be focusing on, so many different things you can be focusing on, so many different opportunities can come up when one thing stands in the way, and you just adapt, you roll with the punches, you move, you change, you go forwards. And if you can keep doing that when things happen in life, it will make your life a lot easier. Because it's so easy for us to be like, fuck this, you know, everything's happened, I'm so shitty at myself, blah, blah, blah. You can get very, very upset about it, but it's like, that doesn't do anything for you, you know? So we do have to have that mental resilience at the end of the day and push through when times get tough, when it feels like nothing else is gonna be going good for us. There's always a way that you can work around it, all right? So that's the video for today. Hope it was helpful. Hope you guys can sympathize a little bit, or you get a bit of an understanding about what's going on. I will obviously keep doing sports talks, updating with you with all this stuff. So until next time, I'll speak to you then.